What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Trevor here today, and the deal is, if you own one property already and you are looking for the second property just to use as a rental property and to get a massive income source, you get to the right place. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 10 steps that a new real estate investor should follow to have a little bit easier and smoother process to buy the very first rental property here in Canada. Let's get into it right away. The first step is to make a video, post a comment, and get a reply from Graham Stephen. I mean the real Graham Stephen. Nah, it was just me. I was just feeling too happy when I got the reply from Graham Stephen. He was kind of my inspiration, so I think it was just me, I guess. Okay, so before we move into the video, please do me a favor as always. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button below if you have not done that already, because this will help my channel a lot and I really do appreciate it. And if you are looking to buy the very first house or property in Canada, I made a video already and I just put the link up here. So please feel free to check it out. If you have done that already, please let's jump right into the video. Okay, so for the step 1, it is preparing for the down payment. So if you own one property in Canada already, you may know that the banks or the lenders here in Canada, they may require only 20%, 15% or 10% for the down payments for the first house. But for the second property, most of the banks and the lenders here in Canada, they require at least 20% value of the house as the down payment. The reason behind this one is whenever you buy the second property, it means that you are a little bit riskier to the banks, so they would lend you the money, but with the condition that you are putting a little bit more money as the down payment to make sure that in case the market has a market correction or the house price go down a little bit, you will still have something inside the house and the bank will be not bear that much risk when the house decrease in the value. For example, if you are going to buy the second property with the price of $500,000, you have to make sure that you have an amount of $100,000 as the down payment. Apart from the down payment, you have to set aside around 5% of the closing value of the house just to use as the closing cost. Step 2 is to work on your credit score. So on the second property, just like the first property, the banks or the lenders will still ask for your credit score. So I highly recommend that you try to maintain your credit score above 750 just to make sure that you can get the approval easier, and also you will be able to qualify for the lowest interest rate that the banks or the lenders are offering. Step 3 is try to get your tax returns prepared. So most of the banks and the lenders here in Canada, they always ask for the tax returns, or in Canada they are called the notice of assessment. This is one of the reasons why I try to encourage my friends, my relatives who started their journey in the real estate investment, that they should stick with a full-time job when they start investing in real estate. The reason why I try to encourage them to do so is because most of the banks and the lenders here in Canada, they always try to ask for the 2 most recent pay stubs from the current employer only, instead of asking for the 2 most recent years NOA or notice of assessment if you are a self-employed. So imagine this way, if you are an employee at a company, so most of the banks and lenders, they will ask for your job history, right? So if you can show them that, hey, I've been working at this company full-time, 40 hours a week, and I get the paid every bi-weekly, so they will ask for the 2 pay stubs showing that you got the pay bi-weekly with the stable income and you passed the probation already. So that should be enough for the banks and the lenders here to consider that a stable income and to use that income to qualify for the mortgage application. On the other hand, if you are just a self-employed, like you work for yourself only, right? Most of the banks and the lenders, they ask for the 2 years history or the 2 years notice of assessment to make sure that you earn those incomes within the last 2 years. They will get the average numbers of those 2 years and to determine what is your income, and based on that they will qualify the mortgage amount that you are applying for. but it is much longer to do that way, right? Okay, so whenever you have the down payments prepared, you got the good credit score, and you got the tax returns prepared, it's time to move on to step 4, which is talking to the banks or the lenders. I highly recommend people to just talk to the banks or the lenders before they search for a property. The reason is because whenever you talk to the bank and the lender, they will give you the pre-approval or the mortgage amounts that they are willing to offer you. So with that in mind, you can search for the property that is within the budget, and then you can determine which property is the one that you are able to afford and the one that you can close smoothly. And I also recommend that you talk to the banks that you got a very long relationship with before you try to work with other banks or the mortgage broker. The reason is whenever you work with a bank for a long time, they know your credit history already, right? They know who you are, they know who you work for, how the income is, and for sure that with that kind of relationship, you will be more easier to be able to get the mortgage instead of going to a different bank and start all over again, or working with a mortgage broker. They know nothing about you, right? Step 5, in my opinion, is the most important step, which is doing some calculations about the cash flows. To know what the cash flow is, you have to get the approximate numbers on the payments or the monthly mortgage payments, and then in addition to that, you have to predict how much is the insurance that you have to pay monthly, how much is the property tax that you have to pay monthly. I also add a 5% occupancy rate on the monthly cost to make sure that I can have some money to cover for the occupancy in case I cannot find any tenant for like 2 or 3 months. After having the rough number on the monthly cost, I will try to predict, or based on the market trend, I will try to get the numbers on the monthly rents that I can get from the property. So with the monthly rent and the monthly cost, if the monthly rent is greater than the monthly cost, so in that case you have a positive cash flow, that is the reason why you want to do and want to buy the rental property. To get the approximate numbers on the monthly mortgage payments, I use the Scotia mortgage calculator online on their website because it is kind of easy to use. So whenever you get on the Scotia mortgage calculator, you can try to enter the different numbers on the mortgage amount. For example, you can use 400,000 for the mortgage amounts over here, and then you can change or adjust the amortization, which is the length of the time that you are going to pay off the whole mortgage. So in this case, I always try to use the 30 years amortization on the rental properties. The reason why is I always try to get a lowest payment amount as possible to make sure that the cash flow is a little bit greater. You also have to change the interest rate. So right as of today's day, which is June 2021, the 5-year variable rate, most of the banks or the A lenders here in Canada, they offer the rates of around 1.4% for the 5-year variable. So you can enter the 1.4% and then you can see the monthly mortgage payment. Just make sure and bear in mind that this number is just an estimated number only. But you can for sure use these numbers for your calculations to see what is your cash flow. So whenever I buy a rental property, I always do the calculations beforehand just to make sure that I will have a positive cash flow. So I don't want to buy any rental property or any kind of investment that will bring me with the negative cash flow. So a positive cash flow will be a guarantee or will be the key element that make me decide to buy that property or not. Step number 6 is to look for properties with the budget that you got from talking to the banks or the lenders. So I highly recommend you guys to just try to stick with the budget that you got from the lenders instead of trying to look for a lot of properties. And the reason why is because whenever you look at properties without a budget, you will always tend to look at the beautiful properties, and for sure that if you're looking at beautiful properties, the price will be much higher. And at some point of time, if you ended up making an offer on those over the budget property, you may ended up having your deal closed with a B lender or private lender instead of A lender that you got pre-approval before. And in that case, with the B or private lender, you will have a little bit higher in interest rate, and that may lead to the fact that you have the negative cash flow. So the only recommendation over here is try to stick with your plan, buy the house with the budget that you got and make the cash flow. Step number 7 is making an offer. So whenever you are done finding the appropriate property that you want to buy for the rental property, it's time to make an offer. Just make sure that you always make an offer within the budget that the bank pre-approved you for. And whenever you got the offer accepted by the seller, you can bring that seller agreement to the lender and they can move on with the final approval for you on the mortgage, and then you are almost there. The 8th step in the process is to do the house inspection. I myself consider this process or this step is an important step as well. The reason why is you don't want to have any extreme damage to the house that you did not notice when you first come to the house to do the visit. So make sure that you always have an experienced inspector with you, and it should be a company instead of an individual who is not well known, right? So just make sure you hire a company who is very experienced in this area and do the inspection to make sure everything is great and it will not cost you a bunch of money whenever you close the deal to have it rented out. Step number 9 is closing the deal. So whenever you are done with the financing and you are done with the house or the home inspection, congratulations, it's time to close the deal. And whenever the bank or the lenders, they give you the final approval, you can for sure that talk to the lawyer, move on with the documents process, sign all the paperwork and wait for the time on the closing day. After the noon time, it's time to receive the keys and then the house is yours. And the last step, step number 10, is kind of an extra step in this process, which is doing renovations on the house. So it really depends on the conditions of the house that you just purchased. I myself, I try to buy the house that is kind of ready to be moved in and ready to be rented out as well. Or if it is a little bit older, I try to buy the house that need not too much kind of fixing. Because if you spend too much time on fixing things, it will cost time and you don't have any tenants in the house, and it means that you will have to use your own money out of the pocket to pay for the mortgage and other kind of fees related. So I tend to buy house with minimal cost of fixing, and I can do it quick, like in 1 week, 2 weeks, and then I can rent it out right away. And in this process or in the last step, I always try to remind my friends that do the calculations before you do the renovations. Even if you want to do the renovations to force the appreciation in value to do the refinance and then repeat this process again to buy the 3rd, the 4th rental property, you have to do the calculations really carefully just to make sure that the monthly cash flow can recoup that investment that you use at the beginning of the process to do the renovation. So these are the 10 steps that I think the new real estate investor should do or follow to have a smoother process of buying their first rental property here in Canada. If you think this video is useful, please do me a favor, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button below. If you have any questions related to the topic, please do me a favor, just drop the comment below. I will answer all the questions in the section. And again, thank you so much for coming back to my channel and supporting my channel. And thank you and see you in the next video.